For me, happiness, because that's where I've found the most satisfaction in my life, within art, and I really enjoy the way art makes you think about things, the way it challenges your preconceptions about things, especially in writing and fiction, the way it helps you empathise with people and imagine what it's like to be somebody else. So for me, art is really a big, huge part of my life. Yeah, so it makes me. It's very important, I think. I think at the moment I feel it's probably more pessimistic. I feel that perhaps the education system is leaning more towards traditionally respected subjects like maths and science and English, and I think that's a good thing, but I also think that if we neglect creativity, then I think it should be part of everything we do, and I think that it's sometimes seen by perhaps the government or by certain politicians as something that's an extra, that's not essential, something you can do at the weekend. I think creativity is something that should be in every part of life, and you know, not everybody can be an artist, but everybody can be given the opportunity to think about art and creativity, and that can help everybody, whether they're a scientist or an economist. And if we neglect that, I think not only is life quite boring, but I think you'll miss out on some innovations that would come from that creativity. So I don't personally think it's valued as much as it should be at the moment, and I can see it going further that way with the present government. Yeah. I know it's difficult because, you know, people are struggling just to get by, and I experience that as well, and yeah, there's certain things that we have to do just to survive, but I do think, for one thing, that the arts in Britain do actually bring in a lot of economic growth. You know, people respect Britain as somewhere that for centuries has been, you know, respected as the authors that we have here, the artists that have come from here, and it brings a lot of tourism and it brings a lot of interest into the country. I think if we stop investing in the arts, that will affect the economy, and obviously it can seem like a luxury, but I think we all need to look outside the material. We all need to aspire to something, and to have that kind of creativity that art brings into our lives. It's part of human nature that we need it, and it doesn't always have to cost a lot of money. For the average person, you know, we have libraries that again are under attack, so you can get access to words. You can go to art galleries that are currently free, but again, these things are coming under attack, and I think it will be a real tragedy if we don't protect them. Although I know there are hard decisions to be made, but I do think that they are essential to what it means to be human, really. So I don't really. I suppose the fiction that I'm writing could be described as literary fiction. But I don't tend to have an audience in mind when I'm writing it, mainly because I suppose really I'm writing it for myself, and I hope that people like me will want to read it. Every time I try to imagine a reader or an audience, they end up becoming me anyway. So I have to write the things that I'm passionate about, and I have to write the things that inspire me, and just hope that they speak to other people as well. That's the only way that I can do it. Yeah, I don't know if that will change at all in the future, but at the moment that's how I work. Before I started writing, probably, I always felt that I wanted to write, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, and I didn't feel that I had anything interesting really to say, and that kind of held me back for a long time. And then I started writing, and I got a lot of feedback from people, and I realised that creating something made me feel more complete. It gave me a lot of satisfaction. It made me feel that I was, I suppose, bringing something into the world that hopefully meant something. And it's hard because often you want to give up, and often things don't really seem to be working, and you end up editing a specific story about 7 or 15 times before it feels like it's anywhere near finished. but that process is so satisfying that when you complete something, you feel that you've achieved, that you've pushed yourself further, that you've changed as a person. And for me, writing helps me to be a better person. It makes me think more about the world. It makes me empathise with people more. And I feel a lot more confident now. I don't know if it'll ever reach the amount of people I would like it to reach, but I feel that I'm trying to sort of understand the world more, and I feel more confident to talk about the things that I think about. And yeah, I think it's changed the way that I think about myself more than anything, and that confidence hopefully will lead me to interact more with people outside as well. Yeah. I think when I'm creating something, often it starts in my head, and rather than just sit down in front of a blank page or a blank screen, I'll think about it for a long time, and the characters and the story will start to emerge in my head, and often I think about it when I'm doing something else. And I think I know when I'm about to start writing on something new, and I get so excited about it, and the people start becoming so real to me that I'm not really concentrating on real life, I'm not concentrating on what's real around me. So that's the sort of mood that I'm in when I start to feel that if I don't write it down, if I don't put these characters down on the page, that they're just pestering me and I can't kind of get on with life. So I tend to think about it a lot before I start writing, and then when I write it, often things will happen that I didn't expect to happen. Obviously I'm in control of it and I'm writing it, but often the characters surprise me, and as I'm writing, I don't tend to have a plot laid out. I'll have a vague idea of where I want to go, but I'll start writing and see where it takes me, and I find that really exciting. So it is about passion, I think, but also about being able to surprise myself, because if I can surprise myself while I'm writing about people, then hopefully when people are reading it, it will be something that's interesting and exciting and vibrant to them as well. So that's kind of how I start things. I think there's a lot of tragedy and comedy in ordinary life, in things that we do every day that we just ignore and we don't think are important. Often there's tragedy and comedy lurking beneath them, and that's what I'm interested in exposing, really. And I suppose I resist the idea that it has to be a big grand narrative. I admire people like Shakespeare, I admire people who write about politics and who write about war and great loves and losses and tragedies, and I enjoy reading things like that. And yes, I think those things can become very influential, but I do think that we experience those emotions almost every day of our lives, and we sometimes dismiss our own lives because they seem ordinary and uninteresting, but really I think everybody has their own tragedies and comedies all the time, and I think that those tragedies and comedies are just as interesting to me as the ones that are labelled as big and important, or the ones that seem to affect a larger group of people. So I think that when you write about domestic scenes, or when you write about small people or families that don't have any sort of political importance, sometimes that can seem like an unimportant thing to write about, but I think human beings are important. We're important to ourselves, and that's what I'm interested in, really. So. I think artists matter to our society because they produce art, and art in its best form is something that makes us think, makes us see beyond what's in front of us, and makes us empathise with one another, and I think our world needs a lot more of that.